So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our Friday webinar series. We are so glad to have you join us on today, or you may be watching after the fact. But at any rate, welcome to today's programming. We have with us today Felisha Perrodin. Felisha,
and Perrodin. So
Perrodin, Felisha Perrodin, uh, who is one of our CFC co-chairs, and William El-Amin, who is the other co-chair, could not be with us on today due to some work obligations. So anyway, welcome, Felisha.
well, it's great to be here and to see you, Kamara, as always. So I'm
Yeah,
super
that's
excited to
great.
talk about what we've got going on. So
Awesome, awesome. And again, I'm sorry, I messed your name up. So for our viewers, would you please pronounce it?
yes, it's Felisha Perrodin. So
Perrodin, Felisha
Perrodin, yeah.
Perrodin. And
So
I
yeah.
act like I don't know you, but we've known each other for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
So I should have that down by now, but
you're
I
good.
am not the best with pronunciations.
You're
So
good.
but anyway, well anyway, I'm excited to talk about our topic today is we want to talk about our legislative priorities. And I didn't introduce myself, but I am Kamara Seals. I'm the policy director at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. And I work close with the Citizens First Congress, which is a sister organization to the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. And we have a steering committee that consists of about 21 people who are representative of the 40 plus member groups who are members of the Citizens First Congress. So anyway, it's on the screen that you all can ask questions or make a comment. Uh, we this is being live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. Heather is behind the scenes, who's our comms coordinator. She will let us know if you all have questions or comments, and we'll do our best to answer. If we don't know, we'll get the answer for you. But anyway, we're going to talk about CFC. Overall, we are preparing for the legislative session. So today we wanted to talk about our legislative priorities. So Felisha, I'm going to ask you to just tell our listening audience how we came about these legislative priorities.
Absolutely. Well, every 2 years, Citizens First Congress has an annual convention, but it's every 2 years,
Yeah.
and it's always in the June prior to the upcoming legislative session. But we actually start our work prior to the convention. So we have, as part of Citizens First Congress, we have 4 different caucus groups: economic justice, environmental, education and civil rights, and oh,
That's it. You said the four.
did I say it all?
Yeah, you said all four of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so we have these caucuses where we meet on a monthly basis throughout the year. And in our caucuses, we talk about what our legislative priorities are, or what we are working towards having them to propose, right? So we start that process probably 6 months out from the convention. So getting our member groups to think about what are some issues that need to be addressed within our legislature, and is this something that aligns with our pillars for Citizens First Congress. So we have our convention in June, where priority priority resolutions are proposed. They've been discussed in caucus meetings during the year, as well as the week leading up to the convention. And then we do presentations and then have really thoughtful conversations and discussions related around them, giving people a chance to ask questions, etc. Maybe even suggest some things that might help strengthen that priority.
Mhm.
And then all of the voting delegates, those people who are identified as the voting delegates from the various organizations, get a chance to vote on the priorities.
Yeah.
And we have 5 short term and 5 long term. we have 5 long-term that we're continuing, but we had all 5 short-term for this past convention. So
Right.
we're really focused on 5 new short-term
Mhm.
priorities for the 2027 legislative session. So we're
Yes.
really excited.
That's great. And we'll talk more about the 5. We're going to mention all 10 of the priorities, but we are going to spend probably a little bit more time on our 5 new short-term priorities.
Mhm.
And let me just say, so people understand, the short-term priorities are elected for a 1 cycle, which is 2 years. And then the long-term for 3 cycles, which
Mhm.
is 6 years. So that's how we move about in this process. So again, we are preparing for the legislative session that's coming up in January. And, these are the things, what we're getting ready to talk about now
Mhm.
are the issues that we would like to see become a bill, move them through committee and on to the floor to vote to become law.
Mhm.
That's the goal. We know we got a ton of work ahead of us
Mhm.
because a lot of work goes into this. So we're going to talk about our short-term priorities, and the first one is listed is period poverty.
Mhm.
So we're going to let you. Of course, that's your area. So
Uh-huh.
that is great because your organization sponsors it. So
Yes.
I'm sure we'll have a robust conversation about this one. So,
Yeah.
all right.
No. Yeah. Actually, this is something. Actually, my organization is AEW Arkansas. We're a gender equity organization. Part of the national. We have, but the state organization, and so we have really embraced period poverty as an area that we have been wanting to address for the last probably 5 or 6 years.
Mhm.
And so this is really focused on the fact that we have girls, menstruators, women who have to make really hard choices in terms of, do I go and purchase period supplies? Are they accessible to me, etc.?
Right.
There's a lot of links between food insecurity and period poverty.
Mhm.
And so this is something that we've been very involved in, and we've had a couple other legislative priorities with it. And what we've done is, I think we're kind of incrementally looking at what can we try and accomplish. So with
Right.
this resolution that we sponsored and that got elected, and we are very appreciative of the support of the Citizens First Congress for this. But we really want to take a look at the sales tax holiday that happens every
Yeah.
year, because diapers are on the list for that weekend. Wedding apparel's on that list for the weekend, but guess what's not? Period products.
Did you say wedding apparel?
Wedding apparel is on that list.
As in getting married?
It said wedding apparel, so I don't know what that is, but it's some. I guess you can get any kind of wedding apparel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Sales tax holiday. Oh
I
yeah, it's
did not
really,
know that.
yeah. But diapers are included,
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
which is great. But period products are not,
Yeah.
and so we really want to work on how do we get period products added to the sales tax holiday. To
Mhm.
me, this is not only a benefit for our families and our citizens who are menstruators or have menstruators in their family, but think about it. We have many schools, or we have organizations that are providing period products. What a great way to help them out also in terms of a
Right.
fiscal benefit if they're able to purchase supplies at no sales tax,
Mhm.
during that weekend.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, we had we saw that a bill was proposed in the 2025 session. It got proposed late, and so now really didn't get anywhere out of
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
And so now we really want to build that momentum and
Mhm.
see if we can start that conversation earlier.
That's great.
And having and some of that conversation is who are some legislators that we can talk to about this from across the aisle, because this
Right.
to me is
Right.
a nonpartisan issue.
Right. It's definitely done.
I
And
mean,
and just for that, and just to piggyback on that, all of the work we do is nonpartisan,
mhm,
but everybody across the aisles
mhm.
should be supporting this.
Yes.
It's almost a no-brainer.
I
Yeah.
mean, it really is,
Yeah.
and so that's what our goal is, and we're going to be um, starting to have some conversations, and I think we're actually going to have a conversation that we're going to hopefully be able to advertise out to our Citizens First Congress partners.
Yeah.
Just even like a statewide conversation, like with our members, AAW members in the state, but let's invite other organizations who might want to be on board with this. And if I can make a plug, Period Action Day is actually Saturday, October 10th. It's the second Saturday every year. And so this is a great opportunity for folks who are out across Arkansas in their communities. If you've got an organization or a food bank or schools, it's a great thing to maybe just have a drive for period supplies to donate to an organization. And we can share some information out about that as well. But we will hope that we can get more. I feel like we've had a lot of support from our Citizens First Congress partners on this, because we've done a lot of education. I think that's probably the biggest benefit of what we've done is we've been able to educate on this topic. And so hopefully we can get more organizations that say, hey, let's help out with this, because it touches everybody.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. No, the education is key. It's critical. And the more people know, the more they understand, the more they can get behind and support this effort. Okay, well, this is great. And I know you all are working diligently on just getting ready for the session, and hopefully this will be something we can get through committee and move it through and get it in the tax exempt status. So, okay.
Well, and I just saw that Linda McAteer is on our steering committee as part of AEW Arkansas. She put the Period Action Day website up in the chat.
Awesome.
So you can go to that website and learn more about it. So
okay, and you said it was October 10th?
October 10th. It's the second Saturday in October every year.
Every year. Okay, that is great. Thank you. Let's move to another short-term priority, expanding the minimum wage. Now, this was brought to us, the minimum wage. This was brought to. Do you have the organization there in front of you?
It was.
Omni. I have it right here.
It was Omni.
So it was Omni. Let me just give the whole title. It was the Omni Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology, and the Saline County Women. So we have two organizations. This falls under our Economic Justice Caucus. And so here's what's interesting about this short-term priority, because it's expanding. Understand, it's expanding the minimum wage. Now, in Arkansas, we do have minimum wage is $11 an hour. That's thanks to a ballot measure that was passed, I believe, in 2017, 2018, somewhere along those routes. But we are at $11. So there is with that minimum wage, there were some exemptions, and that was brought to our attention by Omni and the Saline County Women. And what this does, it extends the minimum wage protections to workers who are currently excluded, because they work for a very small business. And so what happened, the current law excludes workers from minimum wage protections because the law defined an employer to exclude any employer for any work week in which fewer than 4 employees are employed. So it's just so what this group is trying to do is close that loop. Okay, so for small businesses, and we didn't know about, and of course, you all, let me explain, we don't know about these unless they are brought to us by member groups. And that's the beauty of this collaboration that we have, is because, people from all across the state come together and they say, hey, this is an issue, or this isn't working. Here's maybe an unintended consequence of the law. I don't know if this was an unintended consequence or not. Probably not, but it does exclude employees who are employed at a small business. Okay. And it says with 4 employees or less. So this is just trying to close that loophole, and so that all workers will be able to take advantage of the minimum wage.
And the thing to illustrate here is, if that is 4 employees or less, they're getting the federal minimum wage at
Yes.
$7.25 an hour,
Yes.
which of course in Arkansas our minimum wage is $11 an hour. So
Right.
that's a
Big
pretty
difference.
disparity. So
Right, right. Yep, yep. So we know that system is uneven, and it obviously impacts, lower paid workers and low wage workers,
Mhm.
and I know we all believe in a livable wage,
Mhm.
which I think it's defined at $15 an hour, but that was some years back, so it may be even higher. So definitely being a organization, where we believe in economic justice,
Mhm.
that's something. So we definitely appreciate, you know, the delegates for voting that to be a legislative priority. All right. Are there any questions? Okay, she's keeping us abreast if there are any questions or comments. So let's move on. Oh, and let me say this. Let me share this about minimum wage. So we have so let me explain. We're just kind of running through to let everybody know what our short-term priorities are and our long-term priorities. But what we do is we try to allow a webinar so we can go more in depth with the sponsoring organization to talk about the details and to get kind of into the weeds of the policy. That's not what we're doing today. I guess we kind of did with period poverty because our guest is that was her organization's priority. But I want to share with you that we will have a webinar that'll go into the weeds on the minimum wage. It's going to be October the 9th, on expanding the minimum wage, October the 9th. Leela Chisholm will be our guest on October the 9th. And so we'll go into the policy and talk more about the specifics of that particular issue. So I just wanted to share that. So our next short-term priority is youth engagement and representation. We're excited about this. Let's talk
Mhm.
about the youth. So you want to tell us a little bit about the youth and what they're
Yeah,
going to do?
this was, oh my gosh, this was amazing because we had two
Yeah.
young women who were in high school who
Uh-huh.
came and they presented, and they are very focused on what are opportunities that we can get young people to engage in civic
Right.
life and maybe help have an influence on decision
Mhm.
making, particularly as it impacts them.
Right.
And so by having representation for youth,
Mhm.
um, maybe on boards or councils, but then also voter engagement
Yeah.
in public school governance, because that does have a very direct impact on those young people. And
Right.
then hopefully that spawns for them creating a habit of civic engagement and being
Mhm.
involved and sharing their voices and their experiences, right? Because I truly believe youth are going to be who save us, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
always.
their energy, their
Uh-huh.
ideas, their creativity, they're amazing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I just always marvel at
Mhm.
having younger people involved, and not just teenagers, but even people, young adults in their 20s and late 20s and whatnot,
Mhm.
getting them engaged,
Right.
because if you get them engaged, guess what? They're going to start voting, right? And we know that
Right.
voting in our state is not good. And
Right.
so we've got to get people engaged in a younger age. And we have to listen to them. And I think that's the
Mhm.
important thing.
That's
Don't
right.
give it lip service. Just let's listen to them and really value their
Mhm.
input.
That's right. So in this group, let me give you the name, the sponsored organization. It's the Washita Foothills Youth Media Arts and Literacy Collective. That's the name of this organization. And they are youth. I'm not for sure the age, but they're young people. They're in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and they have members who are in junior high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we so welcome their voices to the table, And one of the things we really want to do here at the CFC is to get our youth caucus back. And we've talked about this, and we've got people who love working with young people, who love working with youth. When I was younger, I did with NAACP. I worked with the youth, NAACP Youth Council for, I don't know, probably 10 years, more than 10 years, probably about 15 years, but I stepped away because I don't relate as well to these young people. But we needed some younger leadership for the young people. So we're really excited about this group of people. And let me just tell you, and also we are working to get a webinar with them so they can talk about some of the specifics of their resolution. And I just want to, I'm looking at it right here, and I just want to tell you a couple of things. It says the act would allow eligible 16-year-old and 17-year-old Arkansas residents to vote in public school governance elections, including school board elections, school board elections, school district millage elections, school bond elections, school special elections, and other school governance elections authorized by law. So that's one of the things they want to do, which we know is going to be an uphill battle, but we appreciate them coming to the table, and we are going to support these young kids, these young people.
Voting local is so important.
Local, exactly.
And I think sometimes people don't think about that school board election. It's just as important as your mayor or your U.S. senator or anything like that.
Exactly.
And I wish, actually, that's probably one of the most frustrating things for me as a voter in Arkansas, is that the school board elections aren't always the same time as a general election or a primary. Yeah. And so to me, that does create a lack of engagement, a disconnection. And so I love that these young people, let's start our school boards, right? Because that has a direct impact on me.
Exactly. So we'll be following this. And like I said, they have been invited, but their advisor, as a matter of fact, their advisor is Kwame Abdul-Bey, who's a part of the staff. He's their youth advisor. And they are working to get, we'll have a special session because when we do these on Friday at noon, they're in class, so we'll have a special one for the youth. It'll be a different time, and we'll figure all those details out. But we're very excited. And let me say this, we are hoping to have a youth caucus. The CFC used to have a very active youth caucus years back. But we want to get back to that because, we want to make space in these rooms at these tables for our young people. They are incredible. So, okay, great. We'll keep going. So the next one, the next one, let me get my notes here. So the next short-term priority is pension integrity. And so let me see which group. Here we go. All right. This fall, you want to talk a little bit about this one? Because
wasn't this the Peace for Palestine group? Was that who?
Yeah. This is the sponsoring organization is the Little Rock Peace for Palestine. They're the sponsoring group for this one, and they're promoting pension integrity. This falls under civil rights election reform. Do you have some information on that one you want to?
Well, it's really looking at just having greater transparency and independent analysis and just a public accountability before Arkansas pension systems invest in, with the retirement funds. And so again, it's just like just putting some checks and balances in place in terms of ensuring that those individuals who are investing in those systems know more about what is it their money's being invested in. And, which I think probably for a lot of people, they don't think about a whole lot, right? You usually trust your financial advisor, to do stuff. And this is just, again, putting more thought an investment in that knowing of how's my money being invested, right?
Right.
Because we all have our own kind of thoughts and beliefs about where we want our money to be, and
Right.
and do we want our money necessarily to be invested in something that we don't necessarily support, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so and so I think that's just something, I know, if you go through like Fidelity or TIAA-CREF or something else, right, you can choose that more, but
Right.
perhaps with these more pension, through the state, there's not that same opportunity perhaps. So
Right. So this will be good, and we'll be doing, or the group will be doing education on this. I'm learning about this issue. I didn't know as much about this, but when you look through what they submitted, it just makes sense.
mhm,
And I admit it's not something, this is not something just the average person is thinking about with their pension and where,
mhm,
because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
mhm,
We know we have it set aside. Money is coming out for our retirement, our pension, but
mhm,
where is it going? Where is it being
mhm.
invested? Those are the kind of things that this resolution has made us all think about, because it
Right.
even had me asking a few questions. I'm like, okay, that
Yeah.
that is very interesting. But we're also reaching out to Little Rock Peace for Palestine to get them to come in, and we're going to talk about in detail, because we can't explain it like they can explain it.
Mm.
So, because it gets deep. I do want to read just a couple of statements here, but we are going to have them to come in so they can talk about in depth the policy and why they're doing it and why it's important that we should know, at least have an idea. So it gets you thinking, and because it's definitely got me thinking. Once the resolution came in and I read it, it was very interesting. So
Well,
let me just,
and I would also say this, because this was we had a big discussion about this in
yeah,
caucus meetings. Because
okay,
to be honest, when they were presenting, I was like, you guys are using some terminology that not necessarily everybody knows, and so
yes,
that's why part of not only is it these resolutions you want to get something done, but you have to
mhm,
educate people on
right,
this topic, so people, if they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm with this," they know what they need to be discussing with it. So I'm
right,
sorry to cut
right.
you off there, but
No,
that
you're fine. And actually, I don't need to read it, because if I read it, I can't explain it. So I think we've given enough information based upon our knowledge to
mhm,
know that this obviously is important, because the
mhm,
delegates voted to be a priority. And so you all can just be looking out for the webinar on pension integrity, and how this group is promoting pension integrity, and
mhm,
why it's important.
right.
So we'll be looking forward to that. And as you all know, we try to do, just a side note here, we try to do these webinars twice a month. Now, during the summer months, June and July, we did not. But we do, outside of that, we do try to do them twice a month. And the goal is to educate our universe about policy issues that are important, or whatever we're talking about, because we do a lot with civic engagement, uh, electoral justice,
Mhm,
election protection, just all of those issues that are passionate, that represent who we are. So a ballot measure work. So we do a lot. So we will be having a webinar on this, and that way you all can ask questions and get more into the nitty gritty of it.
the
So
other thing I would say about the webinars is I always appreciate, Camara, that you all are like, this is a hot topic issue that has just arisen. We need to talk to people and educate people
right, right.
too. And
Oh
so,
yeah,
yes, not only do you do them like twice a month, but you might say,
as
we're going to
needed.
do one this week because we need to educate, or particularly during the legislative session,
Yeah,
this bill is coming up. Let's have a conversation about this.
yeah.
So that way, how, what the issues are, so you can communicate with your representatives and your legislators
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
So,
And you're right. We do those. We'll have a pop.
mhm,
If something jumps off on Monday, we may need to have a webinar
mhm,
Tuesday or Wednesday,
mhm,
during the session, because so much happens. It moves fast. There's a lot of bills. And then sometimes there's a need for us to call in the troops, to mobilize. Sometimes we need to mobilize, but we need to educate, like, hey, here's what's happening at the Capitol. Get here. Here's what we need to do. So you're absolutely right. So during the legislative session, these things could happen at any moment. But Heather does a good job with advertising and getting the information out. So to our networks and in our universe, so people will know, hey, we're going to be having this conversation. So and I like the idea we open it up so people can ask questions or make comments. And the thing about it is, we don't have all the answers all the time, but if we don't know, we're going to find out, and we'll go back and put it in, fill in the blanks where we can. So we don't come on here knowing everything by no stretch of the imagination. So, all right, let's keep going. So we've got one more short-term priority we want to talk about. And this priority, regulate pregnancy centers. So let me pull up my notes. So I'm working from a list from the convention, and I should have probably had this all in one all in one document here, but I don't. So we're going to talk about this. Do you have the information at your fingertips?
This was the Abortion Support Network, right?
Yeah, Abortion Support Network, right.
Who I think is a newer member of the First Congress. Yeah. And so kudos to them, A, for joining us, but B, for also jumping right in and proposing this resolution. And it's really focused on crisis pregnancy centers and I guess for some accountability in terms of what information is being provided to individuals in terms of, the credentials that they may have, the services they provide, and also how patient information might be utilized. Because obviously, we want to make sure that people, particularly those who are experiencing pregnancy, are getting the best information and access to healthcare and just good resources and information so people can navigate that journey.
So this one, I'm gonna give you the organization. I think you said it. It's the Arkansas Abortion Support Network. So that's the sponsoring organization. They are a member group, and they are one of our newer member groups. Now, we have them scheduled as well. November the 20th, we'll be interviewing Brittany Stockton, who I think she's the executive director. I'm not exactly sure. Brittany Stockton, and it's this falls under reproductive health, you all. This falls under reproductive health. And Linda has put that website in the chat. Thank you, Linda, for doing that. And we're real excited to have the Arkansas Abortion Support Network. To number one, they joined and then they jumped right in and got a priority. And so this is going to be important work. We know the importance of reproductive health, and we know the fight that we have in Arkansas around reproductive health, but the education piece around this is going to be really, really good. But like I said, on November the 20th, I'm looking at my calendar because I keep a calendar of, those that have confirmed. So November the 20th, we'll be doing a noon webinar where where Brittany will provide all the information. I'll kind of interview her. We'll have a conversation and just talk about the policy, the ins and outs. But I'm looking at what they submitted here. I do want to just give you some information around the reproductive health, maternal health care in Arkansas. So it says here, because Arkansas has chosen to send millions of dollars to support unregulated pregnancy clinics, the state has a responsibility to ensure that any organization receiving taxpayer support or presenting itself as a medical provider operates with transparency, accountability, and adhere to basic consumer protection and civil rights standards. So we will yeah, we're going to be able to get into that because we got to protect we've got to protect women, and just reproductive health in general. So yeah, we look forward to talking about that. And this actually fell under civil rights, under the Civil Rights Caucus. Yeah, it fell under civil rights. So and just being transparent and accountable was a big piece of what they talked about and a big piece of what they presented um, around the regulating pregnancy centers, and protecting patients, protecting patients. So that is definitely important work that we want to make sure that we support and that we talk about. And I know once we have that webinar, we'll be better enlightened to just kind of talk about the ins and outs of that policy. So anything else on that?
No, I don't think so. I've been writing down the webinar dates so that way I can go ahead and get them on my calendar and that too, so I can watch and continue to learn more.
Right. We'll definitely have those. And so now I want to share. Oh, let's run through. Let's just kind of not get too far into it, but I do want to list our long-term priorities. Now, let me say this: we have 5 long-term priorities, and the way our bylaws are set up for the CFC. We have 5 long-term and 5 short-term. So that's the way it's set up. So the short-term, we just ran through those, talked a little bit about those. All of those are new. There were a couple that were reelected because I know period poverty, Felicia, was reelected.
Right.
Because it was short-term and it was reelected.
Right.
And all the other 4 were first-time new. Yeah. So now on the long-term priorities, we've had these priorities. We've talked about these priorities, but we will have something coming up. I don't know, because we were focusing on short-term right now, but probably by mid-January, and it just depends because all of the long-term priorities have had an opportunity. They're just continuing the work. And the thing about it, some of these are complicated and it just takes a long time. And just with the climate that we're in, just the political climate, because we're political, we are nonpartisan. And let me make that clear. The CFC, the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, we are nonpartisan, okay? But the work can be political. And that's just the reality of pretty much most nonprofit organizations. We're nonpartisan, but the work is political. And because of the political climate, we have some really tough challenges, and it takes a while for this work to even. I mean, it just takes a while to talking to legislators and trying to get bills sponsored and bills filed, and then assigned to committees. And so one of the ones, we'll just kind of run through these, but in school paddling, Arkansans against school paddling, this is something that, we're trying to end corporal punishment. I read an article maybe a month ago that there are only 15 states left that have corporal punishment in schools. And Arkansas is one of those states. So when that group comes on, they share all types of statistics. They share how paddlings or corporal punishment, how it impacts behavior of students. They talk about the inequity of Black children, how Black children are punished more than other children. And that's not hard to believe. And so it's really an eye-opener. And again, this is trying to ban corporal punishment in public schools. Okay. And so the statistics are frightening. And I'm really hope this organization has done a lot of work, and we really hope we can get further this go around. And we just build on the work. They just build on the work. Okay. Anything you want to contribute to that?
Nope. I think you've done a great job with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we have another long-term priority of defending against tax cuts. Our friends at Arkansas Advocates for Children and Families, that is one. They are great partners. And not only I know I get the chance to work with them here in Citizens First Congress, but AUW Arkansas does a lot to help support and coalition with them in that as well too. So so that's obviously that one's definitely more of a defense as opposed to going out and trying to make a change, but it's more like being ready, being alert, what's out there, and helping with talking points. And Pete from Arkansas Advocates is amazing in terms of giving us great talking points on stuff and helping us understand the complex issues with it.
Right. Because every time tax cuts are passed, it helps the wealthy at the end of the day. Because what happens, social services are being cut.
Programs to help others.
Exactly. So let's move on before I get on the soapbox on that. So then we have climate change. Now this one is probably forever. As long as they keep elected, it's probably going to be a forever priority, because climate change is real, and of course climate change is so broad, but the focus with our climate change and this one is a little different because the sponsoring group just falls under the Environmental Caucus, and we have about maybe 15 or so different groups from around the state who are members of the Environmental Caucus. And so we have different groups who focus on different environmental issues. And so they just combine to do the work. And George Wise leads that. He and Robin lead that. And so they do amazing work. But specifically, let's see. Run through that one.
Yeah, it's basically wanting to look at what are some meaningful policies we can have that can look at like pollution and emissions and waste reduction and energy efficiency, and then also just looking at other new and emerging things that are out there that are helping our environment. And unfortunately, they're going to keep doing the good work, but this is a hard one to get traction on right now.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So,
but
we have to be for hanging in there. Yeah,
we have to take a look at it. Look at the heat domes we've been having every summer, right? Right. And so there's some real impacts happening out there. But what is it we can do?
Right. Absolutely.
To take care of that. So,
and then the other one is right to know. Now this one has had a number of name changes over the years, and sometimes I'm not sure how to talk about it because the language changes.
Right.
And now the group that sponsors this is the Omni Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology, and Mike Carcass and Shelley Munyuto have done great work, and others. Have done really great work on this one, and we've done a webinar on this one as well, but it's around pay stubs. And when you say right to know, people who work and get paid have a right to know what they were paid, what they made for the hour, what was withheld from their pay stub, why it was withheld, how much was withheld. So that's what we mean because the title of it now is just right to know. And like I said, the title has evolved. We've had 3 or 4 titles. They keep changing. And I understand why, because they're trying to get the right language. but the essence remains the same. So it's about accurate information, employees being clear about their wages.
Mhm.
And while it sounds so simple to you and I, because we get a pay stub every 2 weeks, every time we're paid,
Mhm.
but not everyone does. We have factory workers and others who they don't know, and they have a
Mhm.
right to know, hence the title.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share about that?
No, Mike and Shelly have done some great work and
Uh,
others over the years, and we were
yeah, yeah,
really close in the last session. And
yeah,
Bill just popped in and said we're the only state where employees do not have a legal right to see their pay stub.
yeah.
So
Okay.
again, we're number one. So
Yeah, yeah,
no, so I mean, to me, that's just a fundamental thing that I,
yeah.
as an individual and as a worker,
Hmm.
I should know that info,
You should
right?
know
Because
that. Yeah. And
and
it's the way, in the bigger picture here, it also holds the employers accountable,
mhm,
because,
mhm,
at one point we talked about wage theft,
mhm,
and just think if, there are some employees who at certain places have to clock in
mhm,
before they can even put on their gear to start work in some
right,
factories, and that takes away from, let's say you lose 15 minutes before and after, come
yeah,
on now, wage theft is real.
right,
And so, employers need to be held accountable, and employees have a right to know. So there are some accountability measures within this bill. So yeah, we're just hoping to make some more progress. And again, Felicia, it goes back to the more people are educated. And the more
mhm,
people are educated, the better we can advocate for a
absolutely.
certain issue. It just empowers us. Knowledge is power, and how you use it is powerful.
Well, and we take for granted that everybody knows this information about what
Yeah,
they're making,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they don't. And so, yes,
I'll be
knowledge is
honest.
power.
When I first saw this years ago, I thought, no way. I mean, just how naive I am,
Mhm,
uh, to think everybody gets a pay stub.
right.
But we want to change that in Arkansas. We want to change
Absolutely.
that. So, y'all, we're doing some noble work over here. We're doing some noble work. And some of it just shouldn't be a fight, but it is. All right, we got one more. One more.
And that's landlord tenant protections.
Yeah.
And um, again, we're number one in terms of
By
not
far.
having any kind of real protections at all
Yeah.
um, for those who rent. And so this really is just kind of looking at the accountability and with landlords and what they're providing for tenants in terms of accessibility,
Yeah.
habitability, safe places to live,
Right.
and so fair eviction processes,
Mm-hmm.
retaliation
Yeah.
procedures, and
Right.
it's just devastating to me because I'm on the book of face every once in a while, well, quite a
Yeah.
bit. So I'm on Facebook quite a bit, and just
Yeah.
seeing people talking about,
Yeah.
you say, how about their landlords? And it's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if you think about Maslow's
Well,
hierarchy of needs, shelter is one of those, is at the
right.
very basic
Exactly.
level. And
Exactly.
there are people who don't have that,
Basic.
or,
Yeah.
and it's frightening.
Yeah.
And so we should, it should be more than an expectation. It should be a
Yeah.
requirement that
Right. Yeah.
people have a safe place to live.
Well, another group, in Arkansas, we fought for many, many not election cycles, legislative cycles for an implied warranty of habitability,
Yeah.
and that fight was unreal. But again, landlords uh, did not want tenants to have just those basic protections, and it was sad. And one of the things, a lot of the landlords are elected officials,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them have rental property, and they wouldn't want to be held responsible or accountable to provide just the basic health and safety needs. Oh, okay. We have a comment here. Once again, Yeah,
Bill
okay, I
speaks.
just said that Arkansas is the only
Yeah.
state not to provide renters with basic health and safety protections for their housing, hence the implied warrant of habitability I talked about. Because,
Yeah.
renters, I mean, landlords can rent a house, can continue to rent a house, and the floor is falling in, or
Yeah.
the, and it's just not, so the fight continues, the struggle continues. Oh, and the group also, let me acknowledge the group uh, that's sponsoring this long-term priority, the landlord tenant protections, is the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock.
Yeah.
And Rich Roy, and he has a team, leads that. They are doing phenomenal work as well. So kudos to them, and y'all, we got work to do. We have work to do, and so we're rolling up our sleeves. We're getting at it. And if y'all want to join us, now that was the end of our short-term and long-term priorities. But let's give them our website. Oh, it's on the screen.
It is. It's on the screen.
Okay, so our website is on the screen. Citizensfirst.org. Make sure you all go there. You can find the list. We also have a broad agenda. We don't have time to go through the broad agenda, but you all go to that site, and what happens with the broad agenda, all of the issues that are not elected to the short-term priority or the long-term priority are on the broad agenda, which gives us, which still says they're important. They just weren't elected as priority, but they're still important to us, to our work. And we, if something comes up, we might be able to do some work around them. And also, in addition to us doing this work offensively, we play defense. And sadly, a lot of the work that we have to do is we play defense, because anytime that a bill comes up that threatens the work we're trying to do, we have to get in defense mode. And so there's a lot of that, especially around democracy. I work around democracy, electoral justice, civic engagement. We have to, that's just part of who we are and what we do. We have to defend our protections, our rights. So anyway, that's just kind of an overview of our priorities. Stay tuned, because, I've shared with you some dates that we'll be doing specifics. And we do give all of our groups that have priorities opportunity to come on and talk at length specifically about their one priority. Anything else we need to lift up? Are there any questions that we didn't get?
No, I don't see any questions. I would just say, please take a look at us, because while we have mostly group memberships, we have some individual members as well.
That's right.
And so if people are really passionate and committed to making Arkansas a better place, we're a great place for you to land, because you've got a group, a really strong group of individuals who want to really go out and make a difference. And we have the monthly caucus meetings. The one caucus I forgot was the education caucus. So we had the education.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought
So we have education, civil rights and election reform. We have economic justice, and we have environmental. And so again, those are kind of like the four pillars of what we are working on. And so we have the monthly caucus meetings. They're always on Zoom. So they're very easy to access. We also have quarterly meetings, and we usually do, alternate in person and virtual. And so we have one coming up September 19th, but you can find those listed on the events section of the website.
And they can go register. You can go register.
Absolutely. Free. It's free.
It's exactly. If you just want to go in and register and sit in on one of our quarterly meetings, it's on the website. Heather's done a great job updating the website. Everything is current on our CFC website. We're in the process of updating the panel website. But go check us out. I mean, this is a time you all, if you're not connected somewhere, you need to connect. And we have that engine. We have that organization for you to connect with.
There was something at the bottom of the screen earlier about talking about there's a vote guide that CFC does that shows kind of how your legislators voted on bills in the past, knowing that some of these things could come back up again as well. And so it's a great way, again, to educate yourself on the work in the past, but also what to look forward to in the future. And so I have valued my time so much with Citizens First Congress, and that, and I love the relationships and the networking that we are doing with other groups. So literally, you know, whether it's a group from Northwest Arkansas to East, you know, Arkansas to Southwest Arkansas, but all these groups coming together and learning and empowering one another.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about our collaboration and just have there's strength in numbers, and when we mobilize. And also check out our social media, our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube,
Instagram.
Yeah, let me see.
I think we're on X still.
Yeah, I think we're still on X. But here it is. Facebook, Instagram, and X. What's X? Twitter, formerly Twitter?
Formerly known as Twitter, yes.
Formerly known as Twitter. Okay. So y'all check out our socials. They stay current, up to date. Get involved. Thank you so much, Felisha, our co-chair for the CFC Steering Committee and co-chair for the Economic Justice Caucus. She co-chaired that with Rich Roy, and she co-chairs the CFC Steering Committee with William El-Amin. So thank you so much for your time today, your engagement. And we will be in touch. And thanks everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Linda McIntyre and Janai Taylor Harris, who are my partners in crime for period poverty. They both were on, and they both made comments today.
Okay,
so they
that is
in there too. So
awesome. That is great. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. That ends our webinar for today. We will be back. I have a schedule somewhere. I don't see it right now, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks with I don't know. I have a lot of papers on my desk right now. So when? Oh, next week. Okay, so we'll be back next week. And also, let me tell you this. We have a special webinar on the 15th of September. Okay. We have the Madam Circuit Clerk Terry Hollingsworth, who will be with us, and it's on the 15th, so it's not a Friday. I don't know what day of the week it is. What?
It's Tuesday.
Okay, it's on a Tuesday. Heather's in the other office yelling at me because I don't have a calendar in front of me. I don't know where my stuff went, y'all. But September the 15th is National Voter Registration Day. Okay, so everybody, y'all need to plan something around voter registration. Every organization in the state of Arkansas should be doing something to register voters on September the 15th. So we'll have a webinar on that day at 2:00. Okay. And it's gonna be good. So we're looking at some stuff here. So stay tuned, and that's it. Thank you all so much.
Have a great weekend.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.